together traditions. Instead of dysfunction, it replaces that conflict and chaos with people connecting. So instead of disconnecting, moving towards connecting, gathering around something creative like baking cookies or making ornaments or something that you can do together, having a gingerbread contest.
Yes, crafts, depending on like what things your family finds creative. It could even be a board game, but a board game that just causes interaction and communication. I can see that. I know sometimes I take that for granted of how bonding it can be to do board games because you feel your kids are getting older, but they all remember it fondly. Most of the time, my 17-year-old is the one that wants to be playing board games, and she's very much of like, can we sit around as a family and do this? And
hello, everybody, and welcome to A Better Way to Heal, where faith meets therapy. Okay. All right. Hello, everybody.
Ooh.
I am Elly.
And I'm Isa.
And you are watching another episode of A Better Way to Heal, where faith meets therapy.
Yes. And this is our podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
We're excited to share what we have for you today.
Yes, absolutely. So, we talk about a lot of heavy, a lot of heavy stuff. And last year, when we were getting a little closer to the holidays, we talked about ways that you could deal with your family, especially when there's a lot of dysfunction in your family. I don't remember the title of that episode right off the top of my head, but we'll put that in the show notes, or put a little shout out right here, link to that episode or something. But we talked a lot about how our families can be very dysfunctional. But, we wanted to do something a little fun, a little different this year.
Yes.
So I want to talk about creative ways, because I like being creative. I want to talk about creative ways that we can replace dysfunction with connection. Yeah, because it's all about, we do our best healing when we are connected to others. So, what are some of your favorite holiday traditions?
So one of my favorite in Thanksgiving, so if we're thinking Thanksgiving, is definitely gathering around the food. I still believe that's like important, and sitting down and actually making it fancier than normal. And fancy, I don't mean the food extravagant, just making it more formal. Like we actually sit down, use the nice plates and things like that. That's for Thanksgiving. For Christmas, I like to open one present the night before, and then the rest of the presents the morning of Christmas. So Christmas Eve and Christmas morning, and that we're all in our PJs when we open our gifts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for Christmas Eve, for me, the entire family comes and we open presents and we have a traditional Italian meal. And we play games and we just have a lot of fun. We have a gingerbread contest that we do every year, Gingerbread Man, and I don't know, I think we have family members that cheat. I don't know. Or the judges. I don't know. I never win. So,
yeah, it's rigged.
Yeah, it really is. But I don't know that we really have a tradition per se. Thanksgiving usually looks a little different every year. We do different things throughout the years. But I have 3 different ways, traditions that you can bring in, and I am going to, well, a couple of these I already do, and one of these I really want to try. So I might let you at the end guess which one is which. Okay. Gratitude and story night. This is an attempt to replace some of the, sometimes we can be a little critical, a little gossipy, but, maybe creating a time where we can just tell a story, like sitting around the campfire telling a story and having some gratitude. I have one of my granddaughters started this tradition, so I guess you could say that was one of our traditions, where we had to tell one thing for the year that we were grateful for. And she had some caveats around it that I don't really remember at the moment, but it's just, I really love the thing of the thing that we're grateful for. And it can't be the same as what somebody else is saying at the table. So, thinking about a story that you could share that would be almost building, how you can go around a room and build a story and adding a gratitude to it, a piece to it with each place would be one way of doing this.
Is the story something you've experienced together, or it's individual stories?
That could be another flavor. We could do one that we've experienced together, or we could build on the story.
I think a safe way of doing it too, because when we're talking about family dynamics, there might be some stories that you feel that you can share that are traumatic to other people. And in the spirit of keeping things non-dysfunctional, because there's a place to air that out and a place to don't. I think it would be neat to add to that tradition, going around the room and somebody mentioning their favorite family story, so that way we're all kind of like understanding. And then add to that with gratitude. Oh yeah, I remember that day, but actually my favorite part was this. But the whole point is to find something positive about that experience, correct?
Absolutely.
And that would
absolutely.
create.
Yes. So really, when we're group leaders, when we have groups, like you have a Bible study, I have a group that meets in my church, one of the things that we do is that we try to not twist, but reframe negativity. And that can happen even in this type of a game or tradition or story night. It can become negative. And if we can try to shift that or reframe that, that is a way of turning that negativity into something positive. Yeah, absolutely. So the next one is creating together traditions. Instead of dysfunction, it replaces that conflict and chaos with people connecting. So instead of disconnecting, moving towards connecting, gathering around something creative like baking cookies or making ornaments or something that you can do together, having a gingerbread contest.
Yes, crafts, depending on like what things your family finds creative. It could even be a board game, but a board game that just causes interaction and communication. I can see that. I know sometimes I take that for granted of how bonding it can be to do board games because you feel your kids are getting older, but they all remember it fondly. Most of the time, my 17-year-old is the one that wants to be playing board games, and she's very much of like, can we sit around as a family and do this? And if it were up to her, we would do everything together, kind of a thing. So it's a way of honoring that desire.
Yeah, and being creative together is it's a bonding, and it replaces any kind of dysfunction with collaboration when you do it well. We struggle sometimes with doing things well, and so finding ways of reframing, having grace for one another, and compassion, even for ourselves. And God is really a creative God, and when we are being His representations, leaning into that creativity, that's really the highest form. If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, creativity is right up there with that self-actualization on top of the pyramid.
Yeah, and creativity isn't always drawing or painting. Everybody can contribute in different ways. Sometimes people have creative ideas, even if they don't have the execution or the painting. So maybe somebody in the family can come up with the concept because they're extremely creative, and then another person creative imagination, and then another person can bring it to life with their talent and their artistry.
So the third one is memory making, creating memory making rituals. And this could be like lighting candles or for a loved one that you've lost, or doing crafty type things, or creating a scrapbook maybe of your year, or writing prayers together, or writing a letter. I get a letter from someone that tells me about their year, writing that collaboratively together.
Yes, and also those memories, maybe it's tied to something like our core memories that I can think of with the kids involved outdoors. A lot of them do, like the beach or the river, but it involves like certain emotions. And I think, at least from my perspective, and I'm going to bring that to the kids so that I actually know what their perspective is. Laughter. When I think about it, something that evokes laughter, whether it's watching something funny, talking about something funny, being silly, dancing, playing music. A lot of those memories, when the kids go back to it, that's what they remember the most, moments that made them laugh.
Absolutely. Yeah. God's mercies are new every day, and every morning. And when we lean into that together as a family, it can really help bring bonding and healing. And so finding ways of using this memory making ritual to really create memories and every day. It's kind of like it's a new mercy every day.
Yeah. I agree. And then sometimes we take that for granted, particularly when we're struggling. And I don't want to get dark, but we tend to avoid things like that because it kind of can feel like triggering. But what Ellie is talking about is essentially creating new things and giving you opportunity and variety to create those moments without it being overwhelming. Something simple that doesn't cost you money, that you can do from home, that you can maintain and sustain and be consistent with, and allowing others to kind of like express themselves through that. I think it's very important. I think it's so much harder now in the way that we live because everybody's busy. Most of us work outside of the home. Both parents work outside of the home. A lot of kids are in sports and different activities, and it can become hectic. But choosing a time of year, choosing a time of the week, choosing a time of the month to say, no, this day we're going to do something together. Absolutely. And of course, aligning to your personality and your home character. These are great ideas, but it might not sound familiar to you. This is just the concept of find something that you can gather around that does not attract dysfunction, that does not involve the things that you all struggle with, but it can present the positive side of the family.
Yes. In that vein, a couple months ago, my grandson came for my husband's birthday party, and he and I ended up out in the pottery shed, and I was teaching him how to throw pottery. And that, I mean, if you think about a memory making, the first time he ever threw pottery, to my knowledge, was with me. And he leaned into it and he loved it. And just being able to share that is a bonding thing that, we haven't been able to have. He's a young teenager, I'd say young teenager. He's an adult now, in college. I can't even believe I have two grandchildren in college. But so it was a way of bonding, something that we haven't been able to bond over before. So that was really good.
And you see it's in little things like that. And sometimes we feel like maybe we need to exclude people from that because it's something that we use, but it might be the thing that brings you closer to somebody.
So, I mean, as we wrap this up, I really want to share that we don't have to stay tied in family dysfunction. You don't have to allow it to go forward. You can create rituals and connection opportunities. And if you have dysfunctional family members, maybe you can see them one off, or maybe I don't have to spend the holidays with them this year, or maybe I can limit the time. And we talked a lot about that in that prior episode that we're going to share in the show notes. But just really finding ways to bring joy into it, because the world is full of enough pain. If we could just find just one more thing to bring joy into our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, give yourself some grace. If an event or something you put together ends up triggering something, because we don't know, in a family, do not then be discouraged to try again another way, to try and connect a different way. Sometimes those things might bring issues that need addressing, but do not let it block you or discourage you from approaching and looking for unity in your household, especially if you have young ones and you have kids still in your life.
So as we wrap up,
Yes.
And we start to close, I do want to share that I do talk a lot about recognizing these dysfunctional family patterns in my book, A Better Way, Integrating Faith and Psychology to Heal Inner Wounds. And you can find that on my website. I talk a lot about a lot of different things. I have a lot of resources and things like that. We've done multiple podcasts dealing with dysfunction, dealing with trauma, dealing with anxiety, depression, faith and integration. So check us out, like, subscribe, do all the things. Do you have anything that you want to add before we wrap it up?
No, other than it's giving me ideas. I'm like, what? I was really introspectively thinking, what new thing have we done lately? We have our traditions that we've done for a while, and it's not that I have to eliminate that, but how can I just rearrange things as my kids are getting older? And it's great. It just allows us to refresh that instead of kind of like a stale feeling, like, oh, here we go again, and it making it chore. I think it's exciting to do something new that could open up the doors to goodness and new mercies and all the good things.
I challenge you to see which one of the two that I do and the third one that I want to add.
Yes. Okay. I take it because Fridays are usually kind of like our family night. So perfect. Yeah. Perfect time to try.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for watching us. We really appreciate you being here. If you enjoyed the episode, like, subscribe, share with a friend, and join us next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.